Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is yet another Eurovision 2025 related video here on my channel, and today it is time for a video very similar to ones that I filmed in the past on my channel. It is a semi-finals running orders prediction. This is where I go through both semi-finals of the upcoming ESC and tell you what I think the running orders for those shows will look like. As always, you're very welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. So over the past couple of days I have been going through all of the songs involved in both semi-finals of the 2025 ESC, which will take place in less than 2 months' time in Basel, Switzerland, and I have put together a running order for semi-final 1 and indeed semi-final 2, and I'm now happy with it, and I'm now going to be sharing that prediction with you. I did put something up on my community page here on YouTube not so long ago, and I also put that very same picture up on my Twitter page as well, so you may well have an idea as to how this running order for both semi-finals is going to go. But I did move a few countries around a little bit and then moved them back, and if I thought about it too much I was just going to be tinkering with this for absolutely ages, and that would have really annoyed me. So I am satisfied it will not be changing now. I have seen a few other people's running orders predictions as well. They're always interesting to see. But anyway, I'm just going to get straight into this. It goes without saying, do not take this too seriously. It is purely just a bit of fun. What matters is the real deal, and we should be getting the real semi-finals running orders before the end of March, and all being well I'll be doing a reaction video to those running orders when they appear. So semi-final 1, let me load this up here, is going to take place on Tuesday the 13th of May. 15 countries are involved alongside 3 automatic qualifiers: Italy, Spain and Switzerland. They will all vote alongside the rest of the world, and I have to say last year this was introduced where the automatic qualifiers play a part in the actual semi-final more so than they ever did before, and I think it is a fairly nice addition. In all honesty, it helps break up the running order a little bit, and when you think that the second half of this first semi-final is very up-tempo heavy, having a slow automatic qualifier be part of that segment of the show is certainly a pretty good thing if you ask me. The first semi-final is very testosterone heavy, I think it's fair to say. There's a lot of guys and not many women at all. We have Justina for Poland, we have half of Shkodra Elektronike for Albania, we also have Melody for Spain and Zoe for Switzerland. So when I was putting together my prediction for semi-final 1, it can't be helped, you are going to have a lot of guys in a row. Usually you want it to be broken up. In terms of genre, certainly, you don't want 5 ballads in a row or 5 pop songs in a row. That just doesn't really make a great deal of sense whatsoever. Ideally, you don't want several performances in a row that look the same as well. Now, we as Eurovision fans have no idea how some of these songs are going to come across live, so if we end up with the real life running order and we're all a little bit shocked as to a certain country opening or closing the show, we have to remember, oh, actually, it might be because of how it's going to be presented. We all thought this a little bit with regards to Armenia back in 2022 closing the first semi-final, and we thought that's a bit of an odd choice maybe. Turns out they had a huge bedroom prop on stage, so it made absolute sense that Armenia went on last. And we have to also think about that with other places in the running order as well, before and just after commercial breaks. Not that the UK has commercial breaks on the BBC, but other countries have them, and so certain performances might be on around commercial breaks, so there's a bit more time for people to run on and off stage and get things set up or remove things from the previous performance. Also, we have to think about perhaps how many guys in a row, how many women in a row. You don't necessarily want 5 or 6 performances in a row by solo male acts, although looking at the first semi-final it really can't be helped terribly well. We've also got quite a few male groups in the first half of the first semi-final, so I was really thinking about trying to break them up as much as possible. Anyway, I am clearly rambling for the ages here. Let's get into this at last, taking into consideration all of those factors that I just said. Who's going to open semi-final 1 this May in Basel? Well, I'm looking at the list in front of me right now, and I think the general consensus is that it's probably going to be between 3 songs to open proceedings: Estonia, Iceland and Sweden. Sweden are one of the favourites to win. Would you really put them on first? I don't know. It would certainly get the crowd fired up because it's a really fun, enjoyable 3-minute performance with the sauna on stage and the fake trees and what have you. But I just don't see Sweden opening the show myself. They did open a semi-final back in 2017, but I don't see it happening again. As for Estonia, is that really the sort of song that you want to open Eurovision with? I'm not sure it is. It might be a caffeine kick, but I just don't see Estonia opening the show, which is why I've gone with the other one. Iceland, Roa by Vibe. The 2 guys bopping about in their silver outfits. I imagine the live performance will be similar to how it was at Songverkeppnin. It's a pretty good opener. It's inoffensive. It's not doing anything too wild. I can't imagine the staging is going to have all of these props and interesting things going on. I just don't see that happening. And I believe most people don't really have a strong opinion on this song either way. Nobody's absolutely adoring it, perhaps, not that I've seen, and nobody's absolutely loathing it. It's very middle of the road, but it's a fun, lively opener to proceedings, and I always think, set the tone for the rest of the show, show off the stage in all its glory, bring on the good times. So Iceland is the opener, song 1. Moving on to song 2, a change of pace. The way I see it, if you don't like Iceland's song, then the next song might be more to your taste. And I think really early on you have to show off what Eurovision's all about, because some people might be tuning in and they've no idea what to expect. And really you want to show off as much variety as you can early on. This is not usually a problem, to be fair. So chances are it's going to be something a bit slower. You're not going to have Iceland on first and then Sweden on second. That would be ludicrous, in my opinion. So I have gone with one of the 2 clearly slower tunes in the first half, and I've opted for Slovenia as song 2. How Much Time Do We Have Left by Klemen. This is a very touching, tender effort. Like I said, if you're not really a fan of Iceland's slightly junior Eurovision-y sounding track, you might really enjoy the touching and peaceful vibe that Slovenia's song is giving off. Song 2 for Slovenia. Song 3, well, now it gets a bit tricky, because what do you really follow it up with? We've had 2 brothers bopping about. We've had a guy singing something very powerful and clearly very personal. So now, do we go for something that maybe in the eyes and ears of many feels a bit jokey, or do we go for something entirely different? I have decided to plump for Poland as song 3, the returning after 30 years away Justyna Steczkowska with Gaia. So now we have something different again. This is fierce, warrior-esque, quite frantic. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to this performance. I don't think it's going to be massively different from what we had at the national final. There's going to be flames. The vocals are going to be going off. It's likely to go through no matter where it is in the running order, if you ask me. Song 3 is Poland. 3 very different songs. Now, we have now had 2 guys, a solo guy, and a solo female act. And as I said earlier, there's not many women in the first half, or indeed the second half, of this first semi-final. So working out where to put them was a bit of a thorny issue. But let's crack on nevertheless. If Poland's song was a little bit too all over the shop for you, Song 4 surely won't be, and that's going to be another one of these all-male acts, Zifferblatt with Bird of Prey for Ukraine. Poland and Ukraine, geographical neighbours. I did think about that ever so slightly, not that that really matters at all. But this song, I need to give it another shot. I think it's going to do very, very well. Ukraine usually do, but I think this is going to do perhaps better than we're all thinking it will. I don't think it's terribly competitive, but it's certainly not bad. And vocally and melodically, I think it's doing some very interesting things. So for me, Song 4 is going to be Ukraine. Now, if you weren't so keen on Zifferblatt's entry and you found Ukraine's tune a little bit on the dull side, you perhaps won't think that about the next song, which is going to be 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, yes, I'm just double checking here. Song 6 is going to be, Song 5, dear me, is going to be Espresso Macchiato by Tommy Cash for Estonia, this rather controversial figure. We now have the official music video. I think a hell of a lot of work needs to be done vocally. Not that I'm a professional musician, but I thought he sounded poor at Estilal. Work needs to be done vocally. Work needs to be done on the staging, because given what type of song this is, clearly injecting a bit of humour into proceedings, that live performance at Estilal, I didn't really find humorous at all. I didn't find it serious. I just thought that it was a little bit sloppy, to be honest with you. I would have much rather had a nice herbal tea. But anyway, Espresso Macchiato is there, and that is the first 5 songs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now it's about time we had an automatic qualifier. And because there aren't many women, it's time to chuck in another woman. This is going to be Esa Diva by Melody for Spain. I wasn't too sure about Estonia and then Spain back to back, because they are both quite up-tempo efforts, but they're also fairly different. I like Esa Diva. We had the revamp. My opinions on the song haven't changed. I think this is going to be, hopefully, a really terrific live performance. And I know a lot of people are expecting Spain to struggle this year. I get it. I agree with those people. But I also have a sneaky feeling this might do better than we're expecting. And Melody is a seasoned performer. She's been doing this for a long time, even though she's still, in my opinion, relatively young. So I'm looking forward to it. Okay, moving on now. 1, 2... 3, 4, 5. Song 6. You can see that I keep losing track of everything. Song 6 is going to be another all-male group. It's going to be Deslocado by Napa for Portugal. This could easily be Song 2, but I've decided to stick them on here as Song 6. Again, Spain, Portugal, geographical neighbours. Did think about that a little bit, not that it matters one bit at all. This is coming up on the rails. People were shocked to some extent that this group won FDC a couple of weeks ago, but now I think more and more people are getting on board with it. It's really refreshing. It's a real shift in pace. Espresso Macchiato is cheeky and playful. Esa Diva is diva-esque in style. Now we're really, really winding down again with this effort. And if you don't like Portugal, you might like Kai. Barabarabastu is going to round out the first half of the first semi-final. This is Sweden, of course, favourites to win. They're absolutely likely to challenge for the win overall this year. And what is there to say? It's the 3 guys, one of whom was born on the exact same day as me, as I found out yesterday, having a blast. The set changes early on. Like I said, the fake trees, the sauna appearance, fitting in with obviously the lyrical content of the song. It's a fun time, and this coming on sort of halfway through the show, it just reinvigorates the crowd a little bit, because if they've, with all due respect, not had a nap to Napa, then certainly they'll be awake to Kai from Sweden. So there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yes, we move into the second half now. Song 8. Well, who goes on after Sweden, if indeed this ends up being the real life running order, which I highly doubt? Well, I've opted for Poison Cake by Croatia by Marko Bošnjak. This is one of my least favourite songs of the year, if I'm being honest with you. It's quite aggressive and jarring, and it's almost as if the song doesn't really know what it wants to be. He's better than the song. He deserves a much better song, if you ask me. His entry in Dora a few years ago was superior in pretty much every way. I think this is going to struggle. Could be wrong. Don't really know what to expect from the staging. Croatia is going to go on next. After Croatia, well, there's so many guys, and it has to be another solo male act up next. And if Poison Cake was a little bit too gruff and jarring, like I said, well, why not just go with a fairly ordinary pop song? Kyle Alessandro for Norway with Lighter. I think we might be getting a slight revamp of this song. I'm very indifferent on this, if I haven't made it clear already on my channel. I feel like I've heard songs like this a million times before. I think it's very basic in comparison to a lot of other songs across the entirety of this year's competition, but I am expecting him to go through. He performs it fairly convincingly, and this does have fans. Norway coming on next. Now it's about time for another automatic qualifier, and I think it's time for a really, really classy effort. So I've gone with Italy. Up next, Volevo essere un duro by Lucio Corsi. This is just really sublime, a really fine song indeed. Very hazy, very throwback, very old school. It's performed in a professional manner, but it also feels really relaxed somehow. I'm liking it more and more every time I hear it. So Italy will come on in between Norway and Albania. This is another song expected to do fairly well this year. Schirm by Skodra Elektronika. Of course, we do have a woman as part of this double act. This song is quite beloved by Eurovision fans, and FIC happened last December, so it's had longevity. And will that support swell even more as we move ever closer to this year's competition in May? I like it. I do believe we are getting a more Eurovision final version fairly soon. I've never considered this winning material, but I think Albania will do quite all right this year. After that, didn't really know where to put this next country, so slap bang in the middle of the second half sounds about right to me. I've gone with Shush by Theo Evan for Cyprus. I think this song is very up and down, a little bit erratic, a bit like Croatia's song in the sense that it doesn't really know what it wants to be, if you see what I mean. Don't mind it at all. I'm expecting a performance with lots of quick cuts, maybe some strobing effects, maybe some pyro, flames, the whole shebang. I think Cyprus are going to throw the kitchen sink and then the rest of the kitchen at this performance. And this is a country that usually does go through, irrespective of what they send. So I'm expecting this at this moment in time to maybe sneak through. After Cyprus, well, I think Cyprus's song might be a bit heavy going for some people, and this next track is arguably a little bit more on the lighter side, just having that nice flow to proceedings. I've gone with Azerbaijan, Run With You by Mama Gamma. This is a little bit underrated, if I'm being completely honest with you. I don't think anybody should be ruling this out just yet, because it's really not that bad a song, and I'm liking the instrumentation. I do think maybe it runs out of steam early on. I really do. I was hoping for something a little bit more innovative or dynamic in the final third, and I'm not really sure we got that, so maybe you are left feeling somewhat underwhelmed by this track, but hopefully the live performance is going to be solid. Azerbaijan up next. Now it is time for the final automatic qualifier. You know who this is. It's the host country, Zoe May with Voyage. So now we have another female act front and centre after a while. This is just a really, really beautiful and very touching song. And the first time I heard it, you might well have seen my reaction to it here on my channel, I was moved by this. So Switzerland, there you go, coming on towards the end of the show. 3 songs left. This next one might well wrap up semi-final 1. It's Strobe Lights by Red Sebastian for Belgium, as Cyprus's song and Belgium's entry are a little bit similar. I think keeping them as far away as possible is a good idea, and I think that will happen with the real-life running order we get soon. This is clearly quite impressive in some areas. Vocally, and I think visually, it could be really, really good. But there might also be something lacking for a lot of people. I don't know. Belgium looking good to go through, though. They will be on towards the end. 2 songs left. Song 14 is going to be Claude for the Netherlands with C'est Ma Vie. This is calmer. It's a palate cleanser. It's really strong. He has performed this live now. Thought it was pretty good. This should be going through with ease, but if Europe's public are having a bit of a strange day, this might limp over the line, or it might not even go through at all. That means, if you've been paying attention, semi-final 1's closing effort will be San Marino. This just feels like a nice way to wrap up proceedings. It's quite lively, it's a good time. Even if you don't love the song, if you're there in Basel, you might get up and have a bit of a dance. It's Tutta l'Italia by Gabri Ponte for San Marino, and being on last may well boost their chances of going through, although not every song that closes a semi-final goes through. And with the Netherlands and Belgium on before Gabri in this running order prediction, I don't know. Would you have all 3 of those go through? Maybe, maybe not. It's just a bit of fun. So there you go, that's semi-final 1. To recap, Song 1, Iceland. Song 2, Slovenia. Song 3, Poland. Song 4, Ukraine. Song 5, Estonia. Then Spain. Song 6, Portugal. Song 7, Sweden. Song 8, Croatia. Song 9, Norway. Then we'll have Italy. Song 10 will be Albania. Song 11 will be Cyprus. Song 12 will be Azerbaijan. Then we'll have Switzerland. Song 13, Belgium. Song 14, the Netherlands. Again, geographical neighbours there next to each other. And then Song 15 will be San Marino. They'll at least get some points from Italy, I'm sure. Moving on to semi-final 2 now, and these countries are on green slips of card. Semi-final 2 will take place on Thursday the 15th of May. 16 countries involved. They'll all vote alongside France, Germany, the UK and the rest of the world. The first half is pretty slow going. There might be a lull in proceedings. And here I was just trying to think to myself, how will each song really stand out as much as it possibly can? Because every year, without fail, you might agree with me here, we have lulls in proceedings where, okay, we might have a few ballads in a row, so it does maybe come across as a bit sleepy to some. But also, you've got maybe a few performances in a row that look fairly similar. And I was just thinking about how these performances might come across live and trying to keep similar looking things away from each other as best I could, if you see what I mean. Opening semi-final 1. Well, it might be Australia. It might be Armenia, but I've gone with Ireland. If semi-final 1 is going to begin with Iceland, and that's a rather fun, happy-go-lucky sort of track, let's do the same with semi-final 2 and have that sort of mirroring thing going on. This is Emmy Like a Party for the Irish. Not too sure about this song's chances. It's not really a jokey song at all, but I can understand why some people might think it is. Anyway, not a bad way to get the show going. It's a fun time. Song 2. Well, as I said with semi-final 1, if you don't like song 1, then let's really hope maybe song 2 is more to your liking. You've got to please as many people as possible early on. At least, that's the way I view things. Song 2, yeah, I've gone with Lithuania, Davowakis by Catharsis. I like this. It is a very depressing track. In all honesty, it feels like an incoming migraine. That's the best way I can describe it. But I really don't mind it at all. And even though it is quite heavy going, and it is a little bit repetitive, and it does become very angsty, I suppose, it's also great to have a song like this in the lineup, in the Lithuanian language as well, which is also very refreshing. If this is good enough, it'll go through no matter where it is in the running order. Song 2 for Lithuania. 2 very different songs back to back. And Ireland will give Lithuania a lot of points, I can tell you that much. Song 3, had no idea where to put this country. It was either on first or right towards the end of the first half. I've gone with Survivor by Pag for Armenia. Not sure if this is going through. I'm not convinced. Armenia are in a good run of form at Eurovision at the moment, a good qualification streak. This might bring things to an end. I think we're getting a revamp. I think that's being teased on social media lately. I don't mind this track. He's not really singing a whole lot in the chorus, though. At least he wasn't in the national final, so that's a bit dodgy. Anyway, Armenia, Song 3. So, Lithuania and Armenia back to back. Ooh, that is fairly heavy going, you could say. So let's lighten things up with something folky and springy, and Burman Laimi by Tautumeitas is just that. Song 4 for Latvia. I like this. I actually think it's a very special entry, and I'm so glad we have something like this in this year's lineup. But it might really struggle. I'm just not sure this is going to get enough love. But I'd like to be wrong. Latvia qualified against the odds last year. It could happen again. Song 4, the rather pretty and springy and quite delightful Burman Laimi. Now, next up, I have gone with another ballad. I mean, the first half is pretty slow going, to be honest with you. I've gone with Dobro Došli by Nina Žižić, returning after several years away, for Montenegro. Glad to have them back. We've had the revamp of this song. I've heard it. Didn't really notice any difference, to be honest with you, from the original. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to it nearly closely enough. But anyway, this could go on second. It easily could be song number 2. But I've decided to whack it into position number 5. And this might really struggle, but it's not bad. Now it's time for an automatic qualifier, and I did think about the UK here, but I've ended up going for Baller by Abur and Tina for Germany. This is really good. I think I said this in a recent video. I think this is really contemporary, really fresh, could be a big radio hit all across Europe. Don't see why that can't happen. This could do the business. And as much as I think Germany could really struggle in the final, they shouldn't, because this is pretty darn decent indeed. Anyway, it sort of breaks things up because, like I've said several times now, the first half of semi-final 2, it is relatively slow-paced. This is a real injection of liveliness into proceedings. So Germany, there we are. Next up, let's slow it down again because we've got no real choice. You're not going to put on Australia straight after Germany. That doesn't really make sense to me. We're going to go with Aster Romata by Claudia for Greece. Holy smokes, Dark Horse of the Year? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Girl in Glasses. We love that. This is a really, really solid, powerful ballad. And I'm hoping there's more to the staging than her just standing there in the same spot for 3 minutes. So deliver the goods, Greece. Thank you very much. Next up, we are going to have the other and final up-tempo song in the first half of semi-final 2. It's Milkshake Man by Gojo for Australia. This could open the second semi-final, and then you could say, you know, maybe Estonia will open the first semi-final. These two songs are different, but maybe heading in the same sort of territory a little bit. Don't really know what to expect from the live performance. It could really be an absolute mess, and there might well be a milkshake on stage. The last time that happened, I think it was Sarah McTurnan with 22 for Ireland back in Tel Aviv a few years ago, and she didn't make the cut. So, yeah, not really sure what to expect from Australia, but their position in the running order is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Song 7, Australia. Which means Song 8, rounding out the first half of semi-final 2, one of the favourites to win. Wasted Love by JJ for Austria. I'm loving this track. Love the way it builds. Love the vocals. Even if this wasn't operatic in style, I think I'd still really enjoy this. And I think the juries will eat this up. I'd be surprised if they didn't, and I think the public will dish out a lot of love as well. Will it be enough to win? We'll wait and see, but Austria closing the first half of Semi 2. Now, moving into the second half, which is a little bit more upbeat, you could say, but we do have some slower efforts as well. And when the French song came out a few days ago, that really threw a spanner in the works, because even though it sounded exactly like I thought it was going to sound, I thought to myself, my God, where the hell am I putting this song? It's a bit of a tricky one, and I'm sure the producers, well, I'm sure they've already decided the running orders, but I'm sure it was maybe a little bit of a headache for them. Anyway, JJ's song is classy and, apart from the ending, fairly slow going. So I've gone with, and I was very close to putting Denmark here, but I've gone with Luxembourg. La Poupée monte le son by Laura Thorne for Luxembourg, and oh my word, this should not be underestimated. We do now have the revamp, haven't heard it, waiting for the official music video to surface on the Eurovision YouTube channel. I like this, I think a lot of people will. Maybe a bit too sweet for some tastes, but Luxembourg punched above their little weight last year. They're a small country and they've got a good track record at Eurovision, and they did exceed expectations a year ago. It could well happen again, do not rule this out. After that, we're going to have Israel. Yuval Raphael with New Day will rise. I think this is a little bit better than their entry last year, but should this be getting 300 plus points in the final? No, it shouldn't, but it probably will. The best thing about this song, her voice. Everything else, maybe a little bit Disney-fied, but that's not me criticising this song. I'm just saying that's what I think. Coming after Israel, now we will have, what the hell just happened? By Remember Monday for the UK, another automatic qualifier breaking up proceedings. Israel's song is fairly slow going. This is a little bit more lively, could have quite a bit to the performance. This needs all the help it can damn well get, I can tell you that much. The UK coming on after Israel. They will then be followed by, and this could easily be on a bit later, Adonis, Kiss Kiss Goodbye for Czechia. Really like this. Dance Break, not so sure about. I know a lot of other people have mixed opinions on that Dance Break as well. But this is likely to go through. It feels like a really strong effort from Czechia and definitely gives them more of a fighting chance than last year, perhaps. After that, had no idea where to put this country and actually moved them around a little bit. It is Georgia, Freedom by Mariam Shengelia. What is there to say about this, apart from the fact that it feels like an enormous downgrade on what we had last year? Mariam is a fine singer, but this song, it's like they took a lot of different pieces of other songs, stuck them into a pot, mixed it all together and said, here you go, sing this. This isn't going through. I'd be amazed. And no matter where this is in the running order, I think it's going to struggle. Next up, well, if Malta, who's up next, what am I trying to say here? If Georgia sent you to sleep, no offence, Malta will wake you back up again. Here's a woman serving exactly what she says she's serving, or rather what she said before the song was changed she was serving, if you see what I mean. This is a sort of, it's a little bit diva in style, absolutely. It's a very fierce, sort of powerful girl anthem, for want of a better phrase. This is probably going through. A lot of people are really enjoying this. I'm very indifferent on it, to be honest with you. Most people have spoken about how it sounded like she was swearing, more than the actual song. And the music video is not bad, but people aren't voting on that. And I have a really dodgy feeling the live performance could be a little bit of a mess. Is it going to be Ronela Hayati Albania 2022 2.0? I don't know. But if Malta do make the final, good on them. It's been a while. After that, let's go for something that's maybe not so tongue-in-cheek. Luan with Maman for France. Oh mon Dieu, I'm loving this. Wasn't too sure with the live performance at the Stade de France. You might well have seen my reaction to it the other day. But the studio version, I think, is sublime. And this has surely got to be up there as a contender. It reminds me a little bit of 2021. People loved Måneskin. People loved John's Tears. We knew Barbara Pravi was a favourite to win. but it felt to me as though a lot of people would have been very disappointed had Voila won in Rotterdam a few years ago. This is reminding me of that situation. I think a lot of people might be okay if Austria win, might be okay if Finland win, might be okay if Sweden win. France is one of the favourites, but maybe not a lot of people would be happy if France won. I don't know, maybe I'm talking absolute trash. I think this would be a terrific winner, and I think it's a very strong effort. France going on next. 3 songs left. France is a ballad. Now let's have something more poppy in style. Denmark, Hallucination by Sissal. I'm really liking this. Forgot to mention Denmark in my most recent video. Whoops-a-daisy. For the record, I prefer this over Saba by Sand, although that song's perfectly fine as well. The staging needs a lot of work for this one. The outfit needs changing, with all due respect. But there's very little to fault, in all honesty. It might not be your cup of tea, but there's not really a lot to criticise at all. It's working a little bit, and it will work, hopefully, even better in May. The last 2 songs. It's time for the final guy and the final slow effort. Prince with Mila for Serbia. We've had the revamp. It's really not that bad a song. I just don't know if it's super competitive. And Serbia maybe doesn't have a great deal of voting pals in this semi-final. Montenegro are there, yes. That might be a good 8, 10 or 12 points. But I'm just not sure this is going to pick up enough love from other places. I could be wrong. Certainly if there was a jury vote in the semi-finals, then this might be in with a fairly good shot. But at the moment I'm on the fence. The guy with the long hair... It's a ballad, there's very little to say about it. It will be the penultimate song in this prediction, which means, as a lot of other people have predicted, and a lot of people saw this coming after she won UMK, Erika Wikman with Ik Kommer for Finland, song 16, closing semi-final 2, a great way to round things off. She's fantastic, owning the performance. I imagine it's going to be very similar to the UMK performance at Eurovision. Very little needs to change. She is commanding that stage, which is what you need to do at Eurovision, and I think she's already well on the way to cruising through to the final. So, that's it. To recap, semi-final 2. Song 1, Ireland. Song 2, Lithuania. Song 3, Armenia. Song 4, Latvia. Song 5, Montenegro. Then we have Germany. Song 6, Greece. Song 7, Australia. Song 8, Austria. Song 9, Luxembourg. Song 10, Israel. Then we'll have the UK. Song 11, Czechia. Song 12, Georgia. Song 13, Malta. Unlucky for some. Then we'll have France. Song 14, Denmark. Song 15, Serbia. And song 16, Finland. So there we go. Iceland and Ireland to open the semi-finals, San Marino and Finland to close them. Possibly completely wrong. It doesn't matter, not to be taken seriously. What matters is the real deal, and we'll be getting that real deal fairly soon. Let me know what you think about what I've said today. Feel free to let me know your own running orders predictions in the comments below. Last year I think I was... not a million miles away with semi-final 1. I think I was a bit more off with semi-final 2, but as I keep saying, it does not matter that much. I'll be back with more Eurovision-related content fairly soon. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and bye for now.